Netherlands' best bike rides, and this one's from Leiden to Utrecht and on to Dordrecht, along the Oude Rijn, the Lech and the Maas. This film is about the second and third day of a 4-day trip, and it starts at Leiden, carries on to Utrecht, then down to Dordrecht. But of course we had to get to Leiden for a start, and this was via 3 ships: P&O ferry, Hull to Rotterdam, the Rosenberg to Maassluis ferry, then along the Noordvliet out of Maassluis towards the world's most famous and favoured ferry, the high-speed Trekshoed ferry. And much later that same day we pedalled into Leiden, home of Rembrandt. So day 2, our official journey begins from Leiden towards Utrecht, and we joined the Oude Rijn around the city limits of Leiden. And we were next to the river for most of the day. The river's edge does make a lovely bike ride between the 2 cities. The bike path, or fietspad as it's known in Holland, is sometimes next to the road, as here on the outskirts of Leiden. And sometimes it's just a delightful route across the bottom of everybody's garden, it seems, but still right next to the river and still beautifully paved. 1 or 2 villages that the river meanders through along the way, which gives us plenty of places to stop if you need refreshment or supplies. There's no real flow on the Oude Rijn because the river doesn't go out into the North Sea at Katwijk where it used to.
Obviously not expecting any rough weather.
But it is still maintained as an artery of commerce for the sizable barges that come along it, taking out oil and gas and bringing in sand and gravel. Hence, inevitably, there are 1 or 2 wharves that you have to cycle past, through or round. Come midday, we decided that our rear ends needed a bit of wine and cheese and biscuits, so we stopped here. It seems to me that the Netherlands really is built around the bike, and much the better country for being so, though I suppose I'm a little biased there. The main town that we went through was called Alphen aan de Rijn. Maybe I've said that a bit too Germany. Alphen aan de Rijn. Rijn? Alphen aan de Rijn. Yeah, that'll cover it. We had a quick beer by the bridge and watched a barge go through. And all of the bells were ringing out across the country because it was Liberation Day. It seems that not many people walk anywhere in Holland, they've all got a bike. In Woerden, we were stopped again by a bridge opening, and the local lads saw the GoPros and thought, oh, these chaps can make us world famous. So we did. At the delightful town of Harmelen, we stopped for afternoon tiffin. Then as we approached Utrecht, we went over the Hartel-Kanaal. It seems to me that the Dutch build in the cycleways first and then the pathways and perhaps the roads if they can squeeze some in afterwards. Good priorities. We stayed at the Stay OK, maybe a bit too cheap actually, and we enjoyed the nightlife along the water's edge in the middle of town. How brilliant. The boys struggled to contain their indifference. In the morning we were up early, out in the sunshine and generally headed south towards Dordrecht.
Oh, that man knows what he's doing.
What do you think to the weather, Al?
Absolutely beautiful, mate. Well done, Don.
For a couple of miles we enjoyed the shade of a lovely wood. Then back out into the open and past this farmhouse, which was offering coffee and tea and cake to passing cyclists in their shed. How sweet! And eventually we joined the river Lek proper and pedalled along for a good few miles on top of its flood bank. I think this was a crashed Merlin engine out of something. Could have been anything really. Lancaster, Hurricane, Spitfire, Mosquito, Mustang. Then we came to the lovely metropolis of Schoonhaven, where we stopped in the cafe next to the ferry crossing to regain our strength. Here's a picture of Alan and Andy regaining their strength. The Lek also is a main thoroughfare for trade, and we crossed it eventually when we were allowed on the little ferry here. The bike paths between the Lek and the Merwede rivers are beautiful down the sides of the drainage channels. Have you ever seen a posher bird box? A scene more typical of Holland I cannot imagine.
Not too many flies in your eyes then, Dave? Ah, very good. You look like perfection on wheels.
One or two busier road crossings to the east of Dordrecht when we started to get closer to the city. Got a lot busier, more populous. To give this river its full title, it's the Beneden Merwede Rijksstraat. I'm going to get all sorts of comments for my Dutch, aren't I? From Dutchmans. Quite a lot of Dutch guys leave us comments on these films, and they are very, very welcome chaps. Thank you. Andy wanted to buy his good lady wife a gift, and as we were such a long way from the diamond markets of Amsterdam, he decided to go into the cheese market and buy her some cheese. He's a real romantic passion flower. Back up to the Hugo de Grootlaan Bridge and over the Oude Maas for the final time. And then, if you've seen any of my Dutch films before, you've probably seen This Way Home back along the top of the Oude Maas towards Rotterdam and the ship. And once more over the favoured Groen Kruisweg Bridge that you must have seen 1,000 times before now. We stopped near this Hartelbrug storm surge barrier for a last snack of the afternoon. Though we did manage to squeeze in a beer at the breeze. One day, all docks will get their loading ramp fixed so that the cyclists don't have to go off either in a bus or in an elevator or through the stern door. Thanks Dan for the music once more, and thank you all for watching. You've been very patient.